First of all, I do want to apologize. You'll notice there's no live introduction. Now, I know that means that you can't see my awesome hat and good looks, but the reason is I just can't find any place in the apartment where I can really set up good lighting right now. So until I figure it out, or until I change apartments, which is hopefully coming up, I'm just going to drop the live section of the videos for a while. Sorry about that, but let's move on to our subject. It's on why the job search sucks, something obviously near and dear to everyone's hearts and what's left of their bank accounts. And I'm going to go talk about why it's such a pain and what we can actually do about it. So, the job search is a nightmare. You've noticed this. It's horrific. It's terrible. It's something you can't wake up from. It's like something out of Neil Gaiman's Sandman, but with infinitely worse writing and probably even less chance of a good movie. Now, this is true. It's not you. The job search situation is awful right now. If you didn't notice, in fact, shut up and go watch some AMVs or something. This is for people that realize the job search is terrible. So I'm going to go over this nightmare. I'm also going to look at solutions to common problems, and this is based on my research and, of course, all the things people have been complaining to me about for a while. So let's take a look at what's wrong and what you can do about it. So, reason one, the economy is bad. Now, you probably notice this if you do anything like watching the news, talking to other human beings, or leaving your apartment. But it is really bad, even though there have been some improvements, and as of this time, the US has some recovery going on, and Europe hasn't entirely melted down, but it's still not the greatest. It's still kind of unstable. And frankly, I'm not expecting any real significant improvements for some time. So how do we deal with the bad economy? Well, first, you're going to have to consider relocation. It's just a fact. I'm sorry, but there's a good chance that if you're having trouble finding work, you may not be living in the right spot. It also could be just an area that's been so badly affected by the economy, it's good to get out. Follow the news and learn to get away from bad situations, whether it's changing companies, locations, careers, etc. Plan for logical worst-case scenarios such as unemployment and so forth. Don't get all apocalyptic, but plan ahead. And finally, if you're not voting, you're a moron. Our political decisions and choices affect our economy. That is also a fact of life. Reason number two that the job search sucks, HR is paralyzed. Today's HR world is a shambles. I say this based on people I know that work in recruiting. Requests for talent are irrational lists of bullet points. Change has made it difficult to recruit because some of the people doing the recruiting, as smart as they are, can't always keep up with all this change. The system is old and not keeping up with the times. There are traditions and ideas that just don't work anymore. And everyone is trying to avoid the plodding, boring, but necessary work of recruiting. Both the people doing the recruiting that are sick of going through bullet points and lists, and the people looking for jobs that hope for the automated solution to all of their problems. We don't like this, but no one's fixing it. So, what's the solution to all this HR stupidity? First, be ready to sell yourself. You have to do it. You should know yourself and your job better than anyone else. And believe me, the people doing recruiting and running HR have enough going on as it is. Have the best materials, the resume, the personal website, everything, so you sell yourself. Make it easier for people to give you that job. Help out the recruiters and HR people by being supportive and being prepared. Explain things to them. Give them advice even if they're not helping you find something. Have any supporting documents like a portfolio ready to go. Do your research and don't fall for fads. Good old solid networking, good materials, communicating, doing a good job search on the boards, those still pay off. Don't fall for the latest job search fad because that's exactly what it is, a fad. The third reason the job search sucks, the experience thing. You know how this goes. You can't get a job without experience, but can't get experience without a job. Now, this may bug you early on in your career, but trust me, this occurs in all stages of a career, for the simple reason that people are always making changes. Now, no one actually seems to care about this contradiction, and we're so used to it, no one even thinks about it half the time. And this is even worse in the lousy economy, because that experience you need is not something you necessarily get on a job, and you really want to get that job right away because the economy is terrible. This is a real pain and is even a pain in good times. So, how do we solve the experience thing? First, get experience in school, hobbies, classes, etc. Anything. Get the experience you need somewhere else if you're not getting it on the job. Second, learn to get other experience on the job. If you want to move from an artist to a manager, start taking over managerial duties. If you're the kind of person that wants to move from law to HR, start helping out the HR department. Get your experience somehow by planning ahead. Get classes, training, free seminars, anything. And remember that in some cases, hobbies do work really well, as I mentioned. Those could even be practically professional if you help run a convention, publish a book, etc. Reason number 4, the job search sucks. A lot of people are looking for work. So are you, and this is a pain. That means there's a lot of competition for what seem to be fewer jobs. I wish I had a wittier way to sum this up, but I don't. It's awful, and it really is a royal pain. So, how do you deal with the fact that everyone out there is looking for work too? First of all, be distinct. Just the way a business has a niche, so should you. You may worry you're limiting yourself, but playing up your niche helps you find the right job, helps people notice you, and in some cases, it's honest. They're jobs you're not going to get anyway, even if you play yourself up really well, because your lack of certain skills will come out in the end. You have to keep improving yourself. That's the way of all things anyway, but that's even more important now. Keep adding certifications, classes, etc., and put them on your resume and in your portfolio. Learn to stand out so people find you noteworthy and appreciate what you do. Maybe a web page, a good portfolio, a catchphrase. And finally, walk the specialization line. You have to figure out how to be specialized, niche, in some ways, but not so much that that's all you can do unless you've really chosen to be hyper specialized. That's kind of a different situation for different people, so you'll have to make the call yourself. Now, reason number 5, the job search is a mess. There are no jobs. Actually, that should be thought of as there are no jobs I want to do or can do, since there's usually work out there. But in a lot of cases, it's pretty bad, especially if your location is really awful. And when you add issues with HR, there's often issues of synchronization. There may be people, there may be work, but no one's kind of connecting the dots and getting people employed. If you've ever seen the same job position stay on a job board for weeks or months, you know what I'm talking about. The solution to the no jobs problem? Well, as I mentioned before and kind of repeatedly, sometimes you have to be ready to relocate. Even if it's crashing on a friend's couch and going to a temp agency, sometimes it's what you have to do. Now, retrain or repurpose as well as you can. Retraining is kind of obvious. Repurposing, though, you may have a lot of skills that can be transferred to other jobs. Think about that for a moment. If you've had to manage people in any capacity, you can change that. If you've had to write in any capacity, you can transfer those skills. Also learn to search for and do related work. There may be jobs very similar to what you've done that you can still do. Or in fact, you may be quite good at because you're already very experienced. So, as you go about battling the terrible job search situation, here's some things to keep in mind. Always keep your own business and freelancing in mind. Maybe that's what you can do temporarily. It could lead to a new job. Always improve your skills. Always repurpose your hobbies if possible to kind of give you new experience, flesh out your resume, give you things that you can use to pitch yourself on the job search. Always network and connect with people, not just for work, but for finding out about job opportunities, for getting advice, and so on. And try new things. Try them on the job. Try to help out at a con or help some friends to learn some new skills. Just don't be obnoxious about it. I hope everything works out for you in these tough times. And perhaps in a few years I'll be doing a video called Why the Job Search is Incredibly Awesome. But until that point, keep following my advice.